Hi, this is Rich Brown, and this is going to be a brief history of the founding of the Wall Street Journal, founded in July of 1889, still around today, one of the preeminent publications in the world, not just for financial news, but for other news. And if you are an economic history buff, such as myself, an interesting archives that the Wall Street Journal has. So I will show you, this is going to be this is the original cover from July of 1889. And in the 1880s, the big technology of that time, telegraphs and railroads, really railroads were the ones that consumed most of the news stories. I've found some of the earliest articles about railroad mergers. So historic mergers is something that I like to read about and study. And so the first one I could find, September 22nd, 1896, and this is from the Philadelphia area. Sunbury and Lewiston Railroad unanimously voted to adopt a merger with the Mifflin and Center County Railroad. And you're seeing, you see figures in the hundreds of thousands or low millions of dollars, of course, in 2025. That is relative pittance for corporate mergers, but in that time, of course, relatively large amounts of capital and stock. Another one from a couple of weeks later, October 2nd, 1889. This is a consolidation of the Lackawanna and Southwestern with the Rochester, Hornellsville, and Lackawanna. A little bit larger, $2.8 million, but you can see some of the numbers getting larger, and of course, you see some of the other details in terms of the capital contributions or capital shares of the two entities. A couple more examples. Some of them are a little bit difficult to read in their original form. This is from a couple months later in November 1896, and this has Andrew Carnegie in it, and he put the Pittsburgh and Butler with the Pittsburgh, Shenango, and Lake Erie Railroad Company. So you start to see some of the robber barons of the time, like the Carnegies, actually getting involved in a lot of the railroad mergers. And then a couple of years later, and there are many, many examples, but a couple of years later, the Michigan Central, and this is an article about Vanderbilt, Cornelius Vanderbilt, and others in the Vanderbilt family in terms of buyers of the Michigan Central Railroad. So late 1800s into the 1880s, I'm sorry, and into the 1890s, you see the Wall Street Journal is consumed by railroad stories, railroad mergers, railroad bankruptcies, some telegraph issues, and then you start to get into some of the other technologies, which I'll do in some other videos in terms of early automobile mergers and patents and things like that. You can always contact me at historyrich25@gmail.com if you want any information about this story or any other historical research.